Let's get fancy with it. Oh, yeah. Oh, no! Wrong thing to do! Yep. Yep. I didn't change that button on my new gamepad. Come on! Come on, man! Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today in our next iteration in our new beginner series. This has been requested, and I thought no better time to get to it than the present. We're going to take a look at our skills and perks levels 20 through 30, where we're at, why we chose them, and if they're the right ones for you. Now, first, let me just start by saying that this has been an absolute pleasure. This restart has been so much fun. I have absolutely been soaking it for every little bit of enjoyment I've been able to squeeze out of it. Kind of taking our time, but, you know, we're still moving at a pretty good rate. Now, there's a few things I want to talk about. We're going to go through the recap, just quickly touch base on the weapons as we did with our previous skills video for this beginner series. Now let's just talk quickly about those weapons and what we're mostly using these days. This has been my go-to loadout, as honestly I'm able to pick up every animal on every reserve. For the most part, there's a few little minor changes depending where we're at and what we're hunting, but we're always carrying that 22. We've got the 243, and let's face it, the 243, there's other options like the Mosin, but at the time of this video, the Mosins had an issue with the shot dropping to the right at range, so it's been a little inconsistent for me, so I've really stuck with this 243. She's been flexing, baby. Now the M1, that goes without saying, this thing is an absolute beast. It's a monster. The 30-06 rounds in this game are so OP, like I really feel like it's gonna get a patch at some point. Enjoy while you can. But having that really quick follow-up on the M1, I mean, this thing does work. I don't know what to say. It is by far, I feel, the most effective weapon, and if you're out to make money in XP, having those quick follow-up shots coupled with the skills and perks we're gonna go over certainly helps the bank and really helps that XP pool. Of course, we're still stuck on this rangefinder. We're almost there. We are so close. We're one level away. Beard, you're not level 30. Why are you doing a video on this? Because I've had so many people asking about it, and I thought, let's get it out. Let's get it out there and help. That's what we do. Have you seen the channel? It's what we do. So now we move down to probably my favorite gun for many reasons. The Muzzy, baby. The smoke pole's insane. I'll tell you, this 50 cal cap lock is just insane. I mean, it's got crazy penetration for days. I think my favorite part really is the animations. They did such a good job on it. You really feel it when you're smoking up the reserves. I mean, holy cow, man. It is very satisfying to use. However, it is limited. It doesn't go all the way to, well, you're not going to get those level 9s. Let's just put it like that. And I've been carrying the longbow, which I must say I've really been enjoying. So having it spread out like this, really all we're doing is getting our rifle score and our bow score up. And you know, that's good, but like there's shotguns and there's handguns, so play it how you want to play it. This is just what we've mostly been using. Where the variants come in is if you're going to go to a reserve where you've got those 9 legendaries possibly running around, you need a weapon that's going to take them ethically, so you get all of your check marks, so you don't potentially ruin a diamond. I mean, that's really kind of what it comes down to, right? So the Muzzy needs to be switched out. At that stage, we typically bring in the 300 or the 7mm. The 7mm you get very, very early on in this game, and honestly, the gun's a little beast. There's downsides. It's a one-shot pop. That's it. You got to reload, and good luck on getting, you know, 3 or 4 out of a herd that you might do with the M1. But if you're gonna move into that weapon class, I feel that honestly the 300, in my opinion, is the best way to go. It's got more penetration. It hits harder than the 7mm. The bleed time, I mean, the animals die quicker. It's a matter of mathematics, and you have a lot of fun with the gun. And the gun sounds maybe not so much these days, but maybe they'll get back to that. Okay, so what we're all waiting for, now that we've done a quick recap on that, we're not going to touch base really on any of our lures or any of the other equipment. That's personal preference on how you want to do it. But the skills and the perks. let's quickly first take a look at our perks. Now, honestly, knowing where you want to be is going to make a huge difference. We knew that we needed to get through our rifle tree as quick as we could because this honestly has some of the biggest impacts in the game. But Beard, when I shoot my gun, it's wobbly, it's a death wobble, I can't aim, it's all over the place. Well, this is where you want to come. Getting into the muscle memory first, you have no choice. You must do this. It's a thing. You start with the muscle memory. That's going to help you an awful lot. As you can see, the first ability, it unlocks the ability to ready your next shot without leaving aim mode for rifle, shotguns, and handguns. So it's a very useful tool at your disposal. But more importantly, we wanted to get into the breath control, and we wanted the steady hands to get our way into the zeroing. So if you remember in a recap, we went bam, 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 bam. Oh my goodness, just watch the other video. But the whole point was to get the zeroing, but these are equally as important. In some people's cases, more important because they really affect how much of a wobble you have when looking down that scope, when looking at that diamond, when trying to, just make them dead, right? So that's the thing. But once you're through this tree, where do you go? And I really do recommend maxing all these out. Extremely useful. Well, my next stop was one in handguns, and that was the sprint and load. There's something to be said about being able to reload if you're chasing an animal. Maybe you're taking the shot on the run. It happens. This guy right here is the way to go. You need that sprint and load. But that's it. Unless you're a handgun guy and you're using handguns a ton, even if you are, there's not a lot left in this tree, in my opinion. Down to shotguns, this is where it's at, and it's what we're currently working on. Now, again, you have no choice but to do the both eyes open. Right? You have no choice. If you want to get to the other ones, you got to at least unlock one of these. So we did. Now we got into the fast shouldering. This is huge. Now, couple this with the abilities from the rifle tree. This is going to bring you in and out of that aim mode so much faster. And without the wobble, because you've already done the rifle tree, you can line up on a second, third, sometimes a fourth animal that much faster and that much more accurate. And we haven't got the second tier in it, and we will. We absolutely will. That's going to happen on our 30 to 40 grind. But we've also got body control. Again, it couples with the fast shouldering. It couples with all of the skills we've added in rifles. When you're on a spin and you're trying to get back onto that animal, you're trying to line them up as quick as you can, your body control is greatly gonna help. I recommend hitting both of these up. You want, honestly, you need to. It really helps. Now, there's a variant there, at least one. Why do we want at least one? Because we want to get into the recoil management. That is my next stop. It just allows you to follow up your shot sooner. So you can see where we're going with this. It's like we're baking a cake. This is the icing. We're about to add the icing. We've layered it up with the rifles, with everything. And this is how we've got here. So once we have achieved the recoil management, we've added our fast shouldering, etc., you're going to feel such a huge difference when you get to this stage in your aim, your ability to farm. Now, when I mentioned if you wanted to put another one on body control, that comes down to the archery. If you use the bows a lot, and let's face it, the bows with the reduced hunting pressure since the last update are arguably the new meta due to the fact that they put down way less hunting pressure per kill. Maybe that's something you want to look at. Well, moving through the archery tree is pretty fantastic if you're going to go all the way to the pumping iron. Okay, this is essentially just making your kill shots that much more killy. Yeah, you get the idea. You'll do a lot more damage. Increased arm strength means more draw length, increases the kinetic energy of all bows, which in turn means damage, penetration, and speed using the same arrows. It's self-explanatory. So if you are going to use the bows a lot, to get there's a little bit of a reach, and I might do a reset to get us here to show you what it is you need to do to make it happen. If you are a bow user, let me know in the comments, and we'll see what sort of response we get if that's going to be another video. So as you can see, the perks extremely important. That's why I really wanted to stress them. Moving through the trees correctly is gonna greatly enhance your gameplay. Just don't forget that one in handguns. That sprint and load is absolutely massive. Okay, on to the skills. Okay, on to the skills. Now the skills, man. The skills to get the kills. If you have not followed along again, please go back to our previous video. I'm not going to give you too much detailed info on this one, but the gist of it is this. We're trying to get the soft feet. We have done so from our level 20 to 30 grind. We have managed to get it. It makes a massive difference. As you can see, the tier 1 on this it reduces the noises generated when moving through the foliage. That's your grass and leaves. But level 2 reduces the noise generated when moving through the larger vegetation, bushes and shrubs. Put those two together and you're silent and violent. You're like a freaking bush ninja, man. Use this. This is arguably, some would say, the most useful skill that there is in the Stalker tree. So definitely check it out, guys. We simply finished off our track knowledge, and we have 2 in our locate tracks. We're into our soft feet. Ideally, when we move from here, the improvised blind is a nice one because you're already going to be moving through those bushes. It makes you less visible. But to get there, we need 9 skills in total, which means 2 more in this tree. Now, typically, I will add 1 to connect the dots because it's not necessary, but it's useful. Some like the rainy days, and it does rain a lot on some of the maps, so it's not a completely wasted stat, but it is a skill that only gets used periodically. I still feel that connect the dots might be the better way to go. It's what I do on our big push, and we're going to be working this in our level 30s. This, honestly, the hardened is a complete waste of a skill point. I would not recommend it. We got med kits. We really don't need to use a skill point there. But the locate tracks, we are often tracking in this game, and we find ourselves trying to pick up on animals, and every little thing that we can find will help us. So this is gonna make that cone even narrower. And you can see the tracks farther, so it actually makes them harder or easier to find. Harder to find? What do? We want easier. No, seriously, it makes them easier to find because you might see the track suddenly take a 90-degree turn in the distance, whereas you may not have noticed that and kept running. Honestly, for all the options to get to the improvised blind, this is the way to go. So we're going to be adding these guys next, this guy and this guy, to move into this guy. The ambusher tree at this stage, well, it's an interesting one. It really is. Fatal attraction if you're using the collars. Without this, the collars, especially in today's game, in 2021, at the time of this recording, late January, the collars they haven't been as effective as they were, say, a year ago. However, when you add in both of these levels, they do greatly increase. So I'll be dumping another one in here. Now, this is what I want to talk about. This is where you need to make a decision what it is you're going to push for at endgame, because we're at a critical juncture. Pretty soon, towards the end of the 30s, is it 37 or 42? Let me know in the comments, because it's been a while for myself. You're going to start getting 1 skill, and then 3 levels later, you'll get 1 perk. And then 3 levels later, you'll get 1 skill. And that's going to go all the way to level 60. So as fast as we've moved through these trees, it's going to take a little bit longer now. So you have to decide, do you want to get to your disturbed vegetation, which is a great option, honestly, it really is, for finding those big animals. It fills in a lot of the gaps, and when animals are skipping tracks, you'll often find a disturbed veg. In theory, it can help you pick up tracks for the different rares in the game, but honestly, yeah, it's kind of a tough one. I haven't got a lot of rares through this skill myself, and I've had it. I used to run this religiously, but I switched my gears, and let me show you why we changed tracks, if you will. This who's deer enables you to call in a lot of animals that you can't call otherwise. The rabbits on Layton, that's the deer grunt caller. The musk deer over on Medved, that's the elk caller. And there's a couple of the various ones we've been toying with. So the who's deer is very handy to have, but more importantly, the pack mule. The pack mule, used to be absolutely indispensable. When we discovered how useful this was, we all switched to it. Now, what it meant was that you could carry a full range of weapons with a full loadout of your other equipment, your collars, and in some cases you could work if you wanted to carry a tree stand, that sort of thing. So it's a very, very useful tool. It basically gives you an extra 3 on your weight, which isn't massive, but it really did mean an extra weapon with all of your collars. Now, the collars, unless you're really going to go the route of the Who's Deer and you're going to add the Fatal Attraction, the collars aren't as effective, and maybe you're not worried about all that gear. As you can see in our current loadout, we've got quite a bit with us, and we're just barely maxed out. So you really got to make that decision for yourself. Is that worthwhile? Is that what you want to go with? I personally, this playthrough, I'm still going to go for the Pack Mule, and I'm going to go for a Tick in the Who's Deer. Only due to the fact that, honestly, I find a lot of my diamonds these days, organically, if you will, they step out in front of me. They're in the distance. I'm not spending the time going out and tracking and looking for looking for diamonds, I should say. If you are, you may want to consider this. Guys, that's it in a nutshell, my friends. If you have any more questions about this, make sure you join the Discord. There is a link in the description down below. If it's your first time here, or maybe your return viewer just hasn't done it yet, hit that subscribe, tag the little bell beside it, do it with 2 hands if you gotta. Don't forget to come and join us at twitch.tv/JackCBeard. We're doing most of our recording these days over there live to make videos here for YouTube. Guys, thank you so much for joining me, and we got a herd management video coming out very, very soon, so keep your eyes peeled to the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next live stream. We'll see you soon, my friends. Yes, sir.